what strategy you have followed in your preparation.
And my main strategy was that I should be able to know the formulas of different sections which have the highest weightage.
So while preparing for CAT exam, what are the resources you mostly rely on?
My first go-to material was definitely Arun Sharma books for quants, for DILR, for VRC. I would say you would find hundreds of practice questions in those books.
So what is the role of mocks in your preparation journey?
What I would say is that mocks are really useful in understanding what portion or what section of CAT examination are you really weak in.
In your exam day, what is the section-wise strategy you have followed in your CAT exam?
I would just see if I'm able to solve a question within 1 minute. If I'm not able to solve a question within 1 minute, I would just skip that question and move on to the next question.
So can you briefly share your interview experience at IIM Bangalore?
And then they started asking me about why do I want to do an MBA, what I want to gain from the MBA.
So according to you, what makes IIM Bangalore so special in terms of academics, in terms of clubs, in terms of networking? IIM Bangalore, which is a famous institute for management studies. So getting into IIM is not an easy task. So it takes a lot of effort and dedication to get into IIM. So for this podcast, I brought you a guest who secured admission at IIM Bangalore. So the guest for today's podcast is Shubham Agarwal, where he secured admission at IIM Bangalore in 2024. So as of recording this podcast, he completed his first year at IIM Bangalore. So in this podcast, we will find out his complete journey, which ranges from CAT preparation and life at IIM Bangalore. So if you are planning to pursue MBA, make sure you watch this entire podcast. So without any further ado, let's get started. Hi Shubham Bro, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you so much for accepting for my podcast and giving you some of your valuable time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's definitely my pleasure, Joshua.
So Shubham Bro, let's start this podcast with your introduction. So can you briefly introduce about yourself?
Yeah, so I have done my schooling from Delhi where I was born. Thereafter, I decided to pursue Chartered Accountancy because my father is also a Chartered Accountant and I was also very much interested in numbers and accounting. So in 2022, I was fortunate enough to clear my Chartered Accountancy in first attempt and with an All India rank 24. Then I tried to give CAT in the same year, so I cleared Chartered Accountancy in August and then I gave the CAT attempt in the November itself. I was able to get interview calls from Ahmedabad and Bangalore, but well, I was not able to make it, and then I decided to reappear CAT in 2024, in which I got 99.78 percentile and majorly almost all the calls I got from all the IIMs, and I was able to secure admission in IIM Bangalore. Here in the first year, I got an internship at BCG, and currently I have secured a PPO from the BCG as well. So that's my journey till now.
So Shubham Bro, let's start this podcast with your CAT journey. So as you said in your introduction, you have appeared for a Chartered Accountant exam and you have cleared it in your first attempt. Parallelly, you have given CAT exam as well. So for CAT exam, when did you actually started preparing seriously for the CAT exam? And while preparing for the CAT exam, what strategy you have followed in your preparation?
So my Chartered Accountancy exams ended in June 2022. So right after my exams, I started preparing for the CAT exam in the same year. My strategy was basically simple that I was pretty confident that DILR is a section which I already know from my school days because I was already preparing for maths Olympiads and everything else. So that's why I was pretty confident on the DILR part. And my main strategy was that I should be able to know the formulas of different sections which have the highest weightage in the quant section of the CAT, and again the VRC, I should be able to clear all the RC. So that those two are my basic preparation points. So I was preparing for the RCs and I was preparing for the major portion of the quants part, which is arithmetic, algebra, and I was basically watching YouTube videos. So I did not take any paid courses for preparing for the CAT.
So bro, as you said in this question only, so you have not taken any specific coaching separately for the CAT exam. So while preparing for CAT exam, what are the resources you mostly rely on while preparing for the CAT exam?
So my first go-to material was definitely Arun Sharma books for quants, for DILR, for VRC. I would say you would find hundreds of practice questions in those books. So that was my first material. Then I was also watching YouTube videos Now YouTube videos are very comfortable if you are traveling or something. Personally, as soon as I gave my Chartered Accountancy paper, I was also working somewhere as an internship. So whenever I am traveling, I was able to watch YouTube videos. So in that, I was using, for quants, I was using, there is a channel called Rodha, RODHA. I was using Rodha YouTube videos for all the quant stuff. Then for VARC, I was mainly using the Unacademy YouTube channel. So there is one teacher named as Shabana Azmi ma'am. So I really found her lectures very useful in cracking VARC portion. And DILR, I was like, I was solving very less, but whatever I was solving it from a YouTube channel called Elites Grid. I would say that was majorly my preparation material, at least for the 2022. In 2023, when I gave my second CAT attempt, in that I also took a times mock series, except that I did not take anything else.
Bro, if anyone started preparing for any entrance exams, so most of the people prefer mock tests. So in your journey also, so as you said in this previous question, like you have taken mocks from time. So when did you actually started taking mocks, and also what is the role of mocks in your preparation journey?
So basically, after my 2022 CAT attempt, I basically got the results by, like, the final results of interview and everything by April or May. Till then, I was only preparing for the interviews since I had Ahmedabad and Bangalore calls in that year as well. After that, I started my preparation for CAT again, and I would say I started taking mocks around August of 2023. In that, basically, I would say I was giving mock like once every 15 days. As I got closer and closer to the examination, I started giving it like once a week or like 2 in 1 week as well. So that was my frequency of taking mocks. What I would say is that mocks are really useful in understanding like what portion or what section of CAT examination are you really weak in. So like if you go and search in the history, like what are the cutoffs of each section, you would know how much you need to score to actually, clear the basic cutoffs in each of the section. Then you can compare your mock marks with those sectional cutoffs and know whether you're making progress in each of the sections. Also, you should be checking it with the previous year sectional cutoffs to know that you are not failing in any of the sections of the CAT examination. And if you're lagging behind in one of the sections, that is your indication that you should be preparing more, you should be devoting more of your preparation time in that particular section. So that was majorly what I was trying to do with the mock test papers.
So bro, finally you have completely prepared for the CAT exam, and also you have given your mocks as well. So now it's time for the exam. So in your exam day, like what is the section wise strategy you have followed in your CAT exam?
I'll start in the order in which the CAT exam actually comes. So the first section when you start a CAT exam, you will face is VARC section. So my personal strategy, what I realized from the mocks was that I was really good at RCs, but the VA part, which is basically your jumble word, your fill in the blanks and all of those things, I was not that strong in. So my strategy was simple, that you will get 4 RCs in your CAT examination. So I used to always solve those 4 RCs first, and whatever time I was remaining there, I would just go through all the VA section questions. So these are usually 8 questions in the examination. So I would just read each of the 8 questions and see which question feels very easy. Since there is also, negative marking, you don't want to attempt all the questions. You just want to attempt whatever you feel like that, okay, I will be able to get easy marks here. So that was my strategy. If I still had time remaining, I would try to narrow down answers to like, okay, maybe this is A or B, A or C, and then mark one of those, since I would have a better probability of marking a correct answer. So that would be my strategy for the first section, which is VARC. Then let's go to the second section which comes in the exam, which is LRDI, which is logical reasoning section. So in that you will generally get 4 sets of question. So in 4 sets, every set will have around 4 to 6 questions. So my normal strategy in that was that since every year, if you solve at least one set, you will be clearing the sectional cutoff. And if you are able to solve 2 sets, you would be getting more than 95-96 percentile in that section. So my simple logic was that as long as I am able to solve two questions in that whole 2 or 4 questions in that whole section, I would be pretty much sorted for the LRDI part. So that was my basic strategy. I was not rushing any question. I was not rushing any part. I was trying to ensure that I at least get 2 questions. And once I'm able to get those 2 questions, I would see whether I can also attempt third question. And another strategy in this is basically going through, just read all the 4 questions first and see which concept you are most comfortable with. So it could be that you are most comfortable with logical reasoning or DI. Just choose the questions which you are most comfortable with. And last but not the least, we get to the QA, which is quantitative aptitude section. In that, you will almost never be able to solve all the questions. So in that, my strategy was simple, that I would just see if I'm able to solve a question within 1 minute. If I'm not able to solve a question within 1 minute, I would just skip that question and move on to the next question. So at least I'm able to see all the questions once. And in that, whatever is the easy question, I would be able to get it in the first view only. And then whatever questions I left in the first round, I would come back to in the second round and start solving them.
So bro, like finally you have given the exam and also the results are out. So what was your score in your CAT exam?
Yeah, so I was able to get a 99.78 percentile in 2023.
So bro, like you got a very good percentile in your CAT exam. So now it's time for the interview. So like how did you prepare yourself for the interview?
Sure. So basically, I would say for both the years. So first year as well, I had Ahmedabad and Bangalore calls. So in the first year, I would say I was not very well prepared. I did not took any coaching. I was expecting it to be very similar to the company interviews which we gave for the job roles and everything. So I thought, okay, I will just prepare a bit about my CA courses. I would just prepare a bit about what is going on in the world, and I would be pretty much sorted for the IIM interviews. But I would say that was my pretty much the biggest mistake when I went in the interview hall, because they can literally ask you anything. Like they can ask you maths questions, they can ask you history questions, they can ask you anything related to what is going on in the current affairs. So you have to be pretty well prepared for the CAT examination interviews. So in the second year, I decided to take a coaching. So in this year, when I got selected into IIM Bangalore, I took a coaching from my prep zone, and in that they were basically every day teaching you what is going on in the current affairs, what is going on around the world. They were also giving like mock interviews. So when you go and you give a mock interview, you are able to refine your answers. And not only you are able to refine your answers, you are also able to speak more confidently and more fluently, because I would say they are not only judging the quality of your answers, but they are also judging your personality when you're giving those answers. As that is basically the thing that shows how employable you are. As I would say that should be one of the criterias that professors judge you on. So I would say mock interviews is something that you should be pretty much giving a lot when you are preparing for the interviews.
So bro, finally you are prepared for the interview, and also assume today is your interview day. So can you briefly share your interview experience at IIM Bangalore?
Sure. So practically, it was a afternoon interview. Like they served us lunch and everything, and after the lunch, I got my turn at around like I would say 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. or something. There were 3 panelists in the panel, and as soon as I went in, they greeted me. I greeted them back, and then they started asking me like, "How did you come here?" and like just general questions to break the ice, make me comfortable. And then they started asking me about why do I want to do an MBA, what's my objective, what I want to gain from the MBA. And basically my personal objective was to go into entrepreneurship. And in that sense, they asked me a few more questions about entrepreneurship, like who is your favorite entrepreneur, what companies did you see in the last few years which really excited you, and all of those questions. And afterwards they started asking me normal questions about my academics. So since I am from a chartered accountancy background, they started asking me some questions on company law, some basic accountancy questions. And at the end, they asked me about the basically my job. Since I was doing 1.5 year job, I had a 1.5 year work ex. So they started asking me questions about, like, since my job was in audit, they started asking me questions on audit, like internal audit, what do you do in your job, how does your daily work look like, and a couple of like glossary terms they asked me. I would say majorly it was very chill. I would say they were very supportive. They were not grilling at all. They were actually being considerate that, okay, if you didn't read about this, maybe it is because they didn't teach you in your course. So I would say they were pretty chill, but not all the interview experiences will be like this. So every college have a separate kind of an interview. I would say IIM Calcutta was very grilling, IIM Bangalore was very chill, and all the other interviews were like pretty much normal, like a bit of grilling and a bit of normalcy.
So bro, like for management studies, like most of the institutes prefer like a work experience people. So for a long time there was a lot of debate going on about importance of work experience as well as fresher candidate. So what is your take based on your admission process at IIM Bangalore?
Okay, so I would definitely say that work people do get a edge over the freshers, because if you look at the historical stats of any of the IIM Bangalore like past years, you would see that only like 20-25% people are maximum freshers. So remaining 75% are usually people having work ex. So that is definitely one point. Second thing, you can also see it from their evaluation criteria. So out of 100, 10 marks are given to the work ex. So if you don't have work ex, you are definitely losing those 10 points. So again, like both of those things makes it pretty clear that IIM Bangalore do prefer work ex. However, I would say that like it's not about that if you're a fresher you won't be able to get into a college, because at the end of the day they are maintaining 20 to 25% of the freshers. And if you look at the people who are giving CAT, majority of them do have work ex. So you can in a way think that you are only competing against other freshers, since the number of seats for freshers are almost always constant. So I would say it's not that big of a deal, but definitely it gives you a few more talking points when you are in the interview, that you can talk about your work ex rather than them asking you any kind of a random question. So I would say work ex is a bit more preferable, but it's not a deal breaker.
Well said, bro. Bro, now finally you got admission at IIM Bangalore. So now we will talk a few questions about IIM Bangalore itself. So as of recording this podcast, you have completed your first year at IIM Bangalore. So according to you, like what makes IIM Bangalore so special in terms of academics, in terms of clubs, in terms of networking, or in terms of anything between them? So like what makes IIM Bangalore so special?
Sure. So basically in first year, as soon as you go, you will have to, start preparing your CV, get in the internships and all of those things. That is pretty much common to all the colleges. I would say what makes IIM Bangalore a bit more different than other colleges is that I would say the less academic pressure. Like it's one of those colleges which have very less academic rigor. I would say from what I have heard, IIM Calcutta and IIM Bangalore are the two colleges which have less academic rigor. So it gives you more time to work on your personality, work on the other things. So it could be like you can play sports, you can work on your CV, you can work on case competitions. On the other hand, some colleges like Ahmedabad, Lucknow, these have very high academic rigor. So you don't get a lot of time for doing other things. But then again, like you are able to learn a lot more many courses than IIM Bangalore in those colleges. So definitely there's a trade-off, like do you want to learn more subjects, or you want to work on your personality and all the other things. I would say networking is pretty much similar in all the colleges. You do get to talk to your seniors, you do get to talk to your batchmates. I would say as soon as you go, you will be put in a section, so at least 75 people will know you on the first day of the college itself. So I would say networking is a part which IIM Bangalore offers, but at the end of the day, it's totally dependent upon what kind of person you are. See, you could be a person who stays for 2 years at IIM Bangalore and does not make like 5 contacts as well. And you could be a person at IIM Bangalore who makes like 1000 contacts by just reaching out to everyone, talking to everyone. So definitely it provides you a platform to make network, but it does not serve you networks in a plate, and you would have to work for getting networking on your own. So I would say that is the major experience of mine, at least at the IIM Bangalore.
Bro, like if we see students at IIM Bangalore, like we can see the students who secured a top percentile at CAT exam. So according to you, like how is the learning culture as well as peer learning at IIM Bangalore?
Sure. So I would say that as soon as you join the college, you might feel a bit of imposter syndrome kind of a thing, where you feel like, okay, everyone is so good, but maybe I'm not that good enough. That is a bit normal when you are in such a competitive environment. But at the end of the day, I would say that as soon as you join college, you start making friends. You would understand that it's not about like competing, but it's more about peer learning. You are put into groups for the projects, then you make friends, and then you might have subjects where you are strong. So as a chartered accountant, I was very strong in accountancy, but I was not strong in statistics. So it's like a peer learning process where I go to engineers and learn statistics, and engineers comes to me and learn accountancy. So that kind of a normal peer learning stays here. Again, when you're put into group projects, everyone will bring a different perspective. So I would bring a perspective from my CA background, somebody else will bring a perspective from their engineering background, then everyone will sit and discuss about what do they exactly mean. They will tell everyone. So I would say that is the major portion of the peer learning. On the competitive side, I would say that unless you are targeting for getting an institute rank or something, you won't feel like, okay, it's a very competitive place. Everybody is trying to chill, everybody is trying to have a good time only.
So, bro, like from the past 1 or 2 years, we are hearing more about AI. So, as of today, like the technology is getting advanced day by day. So, according to you, like what is the role of AI as well as technology in terms of management job market or in terms of curriculum at top B schools?
Sure. So first of all, I would speak about how is it affecting the learning. In my opinion, it is actually improving the learning process at MBA colleges. Since before you had to search for answers on multiple websites, you had to search for whenever you're doing any kind of research, you had to go to multiple websites and try to find the relevant data. Now you can just go into Chat GPT and give it a prompt, and it will give you all the relevant source data, and you can just skim through those source data and get a lot more learning rather than spending hours and hours going through different websites. So I would say it is actually optimizing the learning process. On the other hand, it is, some people might say, it is making you a bit lazy as well, since you're not putting in that much of a hard work and just letting chat GPT to basically do all the work for you, give you sources, give you summary, give you everything. So again, it's bit of a trade-off, but I would say if you are able to use it properly, it is definitely optimizing your work. On the other hand, I would say in the job market, I would say it is going to potentially reduce the amount of people that is required in the job market. So like I would say the landscape in the job market might start to deteriorate as the AI starts to grow more and more, since less and less people will be required to do the same amount of job. So that would be my take on the AI.
Bro, like if you look into anyone life, so most of the people face challenges at any stage of their life. So in your life as well, like have you faced any challenges while preparing for CAT exam or while you are doing your PG at IIM Bangalore? So what are the challenges you have faced?
So I would say that majorly academically, I haven't really faced much of the challenges. I would say the biggest challenge I did face was facing the fact that I was not selected in the first year. That was a big shocker to me, because personally I have been like pretty good at academics and all of those things during my UG as well. I was pretty good at chartered accountancy as well. So that kind of shook me to a bit that, okay, maybe I'm not that much on the best of the best people, and I was maybe overestimating myself. But I would say that if you are someone who is getting, some challenges, I would say that really puts you into perspective and gives you a scope of learning. Like personally, when I was not able to get into IIM in my first year, I reflected on myself that, okay, what were my shortcomings? Maybe I was overconfident, maybe I didn't prepare well. And that really humbles you, first of all. Second, it also gives you a perspective about what are your weaknesses, how should you work on them. So after my first year, what I realized was, okay, I'm really weak at my communication skills. So second time when I gave my CAT examinations, my major focus was on that, okay, does not matter what I'm speaking, at least I should be speaking it fluently. I should be speaking it in a manner that the person in front of me can actually understand the meaning of the words and can understand what I'm trying to convey by that. I would say if you're facing any challenges, sure, at that point in time, you might feel a bit hopeless, you might feel a bit despaired. But at the end of the day, you should definitely try to reflect on what were your shortcomings, what you could have done better, and then start working on them. And I would say you would, in some time, you would start feeling that, okay, those challenges were actually a blessing in actually developing you as a person. So I would say that is how your attitude should be when you're dealing with the challenges.
Okay, bro. Let us consider a person like who are planning to do MBA or a person who are giving CAT exam in this year. So for him, like, what is the best piece of advice you will give to him?
The best piece of advice I can give for a student is, first of all, just go ahead, give one mock test paper and understand what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses in the CAT examination. You would get an idea of the paper. And once you get an idea of your strengths, weaknesses, you get an idea of the paper, then you should start preparing in a manner that gives you the most marks. So what I mean by that is that if you go onto any website regarding CAT syllabus, you would be able to understand, let's say in quants, what portion, what chapters come for how much marks. Basis that you can start your preparation by focusing on the chapters which are having the highest weightage but are usually not that complicated. So personally, I did arithmetic, algebra, those kind of chapters which are a bit more intuitive, takes less time, and a very high weightage in the CAT examination. On the other hand, there are chapters like number system. There is a chapter like geometry, which is very hard to solve. It comes for decent weightage, but it's not a make or break. You have to prioritize like what chapters you want to master and what chapters you want to, give up on. So personally, I did not do geometry. I gave up on geometry, and I was sure that I would be able to solve everything else except geometry. That is a strategy that you have to define for yourself. Maybe you are very good at geometry and you decide to do that. Cut it short, summarize it, give a mock test paper, understand your strengths and weaknesses, and basis that, formulate a strategy that gives you most marks in the least amount of time.
So Shubham bro, this is the final question for this podcast. Like, how someone can contact you?
Basically, anybody can contact me either through, LinkedIn. I would say basically the LinkedIn would be the best platform to actually contact me. And you can send me a connect request and you can put a personalized note that, okay, you are here from, this YouTube video, and I would definitely accept your connect request and, discuss anything further with you.
So Shubham bro, once again, thank you so much. You have given some of your valuable time and you have shared like your complete journey, and also you have given a lot of information to our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joshua, for giving me this platform.